right, here we go. All right, hang on a minute. Okay, there we go, man. All right, hang on a minute. Let me check this real quick. Okay, should be good, man. Yeah, yeah, man. So we're
I'm
good,
just kidding.
man. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we're good. So here we are again, another week. Praise God that we made it through another week. Um, so what we're gonna be doing is I was talking to my brother Isaac here, and I brought up something that I've been wanting to do. What's up, brother? I've been wanting to do
Uh,
this testimony Tuesdays. What we're gonna call it? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what, man? Because we all have testimonies. You know what I'm saying? We all have testimonies. We all been through
that's real.
something, and I'm thankful for that. You know what I mean? I'm thankful that hold on a minute here. Yeah, because we got testimonies for days. You know what I mean? Because we serve a good God. But like I said, I just wanted to get up on here, and so how you been doing, brother Isaac? You know what I'm saying? How you been doing, bro?
Living for Jesus.
Yep.
Not too long ago, I had something was wrong with my hand, like it was hurting.
Yeah.
So I wrapped it up with like a band. But today it just feels good. Like the pain going away. So whoever been praying for me, thank you for your prayers.
Yeah.
Also thank myself.
Yeah. That's good, man.
But yeah,
That's good. The week, my week's always busy. You know what I mean? Radio station, working. Um, but I have Tuesday evenings off. You know what I mean? Like I have evenings off. So you know, today was kind of a long day, but I'm here. We made it. Praise God. But the theme that we're talking about is Testimony Tuesdays because I have a lot of testimonies. You have a lot of testimonies, but there's one that I'll never forget, and we'll get into that too. But I wanted to ask you a few questions, bro. You know what I mean? You know, before we get into these
okay.
testimonies, yeah. So like I said, doing these YouTube lives, I really appreciate you staying up a little late to do these. It's a blessing. Really appreciate that, bro.
It's not.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you sacrificing to stay up, which is a good thing because Hope After Dark, we're all about praising God in the nighttime. We're all about the nighttime is very 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 how would you say it? It's a dangerous time, believe it or not. Um,
Mm,
because when we're by ourselves, the sun goes down. That's when the thoughts start coming in our head. You know what I mean? And it's a very dangerous time. So that's why this Hope After Dark was created. You know what I mean? So we can people can come on here and hear testimonies and come on here and hear us talking about Jesus. You know, just being a light in the dark. But let me get to this question right now, bro. So I have a question for you. So what do you think about being slow to anger?
Um, I think that's like so. Say if something triggers you to get angry,
Yeah.
like for instance, like a person like was in a rush, right? And they all of a sudden they stepped on your foot,
Mm-hmm.
and like your foot might have been or whatever the situation is, but the person didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
So like fame comes to matters like forgiveness and also like try not to be angry at that person because you didn't know what was going on. And at the same time, God said to be slow to anger.
Yeah.
And I believe that's character, not to be angry all the time. The
Uh-huh.
devil's angry at us all the time because we are God's image. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like He's full of hate and anger. God is full of peace and love. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So God wants us to be like Him, and that's why I think about being slow to anger. Just try not to be angry. But if someone was to lead someone to hell or something like that, it's a good anger, but don't let it overcome you. Just try to do the best you can to save them back to Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. To rebuttal you on that too. That's what I had to deal with was anger, and to this day I still deal with it. But the thing about it, where it really tested me, where I really had to get it in check, was when I got out of prison this last time when I was at the Dream Center in Phoenix, Church on the Street, when Church on the Street was at the Dream Center in Phoenix. You know, you had these, people would talk crazy. I would see people stealing. I would see just people disrespecting people. And me coming out of prison, 6 years, that was my third time in prison. But what I'm saying is, in prison, it's the rules are different. If somebody disrespects you, you got to get down. Win, lose, or draw, you got to go. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. And for me to get there and people would talk crazy to me or look at me weird, I did say a few things in the beginning, but I thank God for Pastor Ramon because he sat me down and he talked to me and told me, you know what I mean? You can't, you're not in
Mm.
prison no more. You know what I mean? You're in the free world. You got to learn how to get your anger in check. You know what I mean? And I was just like, it took a long time for me to get, you know what I mean? For that to sink in. He would say, you got to pray for them. I got to pray for somebody that's disrespected me. You know what I mean? He goes, yeah, man, just pray for them. And I was just like, what? It took me a long time to, you know what I'm saying? To understand that.
Yeah. God love those. God love those people anyway. So why not pray for them? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He
Yeah.
loves everybody, and
That's what I'm
I think that's another reason why to get angry.
Yeah, and I like I told you, even to this day, I still struggle with it. I gotta put myself in check sometimes in certain situations. Because I was brought up and raised, especially like being in prison and locked up, is that you don't let nobody walk over you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how big they are or how small they are. You can't do that. And then you know how they says, if you get slapped in the cheek, turn to the next cheek. And I was like, huh? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about all that, but it took me a long time to get to that point. But I want to ask you another question too, bro.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into the testimony, and but you know, just the testimony that you're gonna get into. You know what I mean? Um, I want to hear it too because there's power. There's power and how God works in people's lives and the things that He does. You know what I mean? Like God is amazing. We serve a God that can move mountains. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. He rose the dead. He healed the lame. He let the blind man see. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I praise Him, and that's why I don't mind being up at night. You know what I mean? Because it's not about me; it's about Him. So I have another question for you before we get into these testimonies too. How do you feel about Jesus Christ taking away your sins?
It's a big relief, like knowing that he will go through so much, something that was meant for us. You know what I mean? Like we supposed to have been on that cross,
Uh huh.
not him. He was
Yeah.
found with that sin, but he got on that cross anyway because it was like a something that he had to do that his father told him to do, and like that's blood is a sacrifice for our sins. Those who believe in what Jesus done for them, they can be saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that by itself, John three
Yeah.
sixteen, it's like it's amazing. It's like mind blowing. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like I believe what he did. So like I'm saved. So so what he did on the cross, how it makes me feel, and plus like after he took the keys from hell and then like rose up on the third day. It just makes me feel like we serve a powerful God that loves us and we're free. And once He comes back, be away from this like slums of this world. We're living with Him. You know what I mean? In that perfect place.
Yeah,
So I feel very relieved about
it's good, you know. And because I'm gonna sprinkle some questions into when you're telling your testimony. All right, I'm gonna sprinkle some questions in there in between there. Um, I'll start it off
that.
real.
Okay.
I'll start it off real quick, and then we'll go back and forth. But you know, I have a testimony here that I knew God was real. I knew He was. You know, I knew that. But just this incident right here that happened, you know, it just really I knew that there was a God, but it just blew my mind. So let me take you back. I want to say back to tw- uh 2017, 2018. I'd say 2017, 2018. Um, I used to be a security guard at Dream City Church, the mega church in Phoenix, North Phoenix, and they have a prayer pavilion that's 24 hours, and they have restrooms that are open like right across from the prayer pavilion. So that's why they have security there. You know what I mean? 24-hour prayer pavilion.
Yeah.
And I was working graveyard shifts because I've always been in the night. You know what I mean? So I was there for like a little over a year and a half. But at the time when my wife was alive, that's when her heart problems had started, because she would tell me like I'm having trouble like walking up the stairs, or I'm getting out, because she used to smoke cigarettes, and then when something was wrong, you know, figured out something was wrong with her, she really slowed down. You know, she started weaning herself off of cigarettes. But she would say, "I'm getting tired, you know, for walking up the steps, or you know, because we sometimes we walk, you know, we got a golf cart, but she would say like something, I don't feel right, something's wrong." So I was like, "All right, you know," and that's when she started going to the doctor, you know, trying to figure all this stuff out. And then, long story short, she had a bad heart. You know what I mean? Like heart failure. And but in the midst of all this stuff that was going on, um, I remember my mind was just like, man, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like it was just, you know, things were getting my faith was being tested. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like trying to figure things out. You know, I was only what saved for like, what is it, maybe 3.5 years, 4 years, and I was just kind of like lost. You know what I mean? I was just like worried, and I was just like, man, what's going on? But anyways, one night I remember I had just got on shift, and I used to drive the golf cart around, because Dream City Church is a big church. It's big, you know what I mean? Big. And I went to go up to the perp. I went checked everything, so I went to the perp pavilion last. I went up there last because I used to love that. I mean, I used to love that job because I was by myself at night, and people would go to the prayer pavilion and, you know, pray, and I would, you know, sometimes they'd be, you can tell if they're going through something, you know, crying or just, and I'd roll up in the golf cart, I'd walk up with that security shirt. Hey, you all right? How you doing? And that's we get to talk, and I've talked to people up there until the sun comes up. And I used to tell them we would be in a deep conversation talking about, you know, I would listen. So I'd say, hey, look, I got to go do my rounds. You know, you want to go with me? Get in the golf cart. I got to drive around the property, you know, the property, and go and check. And they're like, yeah, yeah. So we driving. It was pretty cool. But anyways, so this one night, I remember, we're gonna get into the testimony right now. This one night, I remember I was driving the golf cart, and I seen like these girls in the back, because there's a light. It's the Purple Pavilion is actually, there's the mountain. There's a mountain that's right there that goes up. You can hike up there, you know. And I seen three girls and a girl who was driving up the walkway, and I could see them looking down. You know, all of them were looking down. Like, what are they looking at? So I stopped the golf cart. I walked up there, and I seen a girl laying on the ground. You know, she's laying on the ground like on her back, and they're looking at her. I'm like, man, what's going on here? So I walked up. I'm walking all slow, and I snuck up on them, and I said, hey, how you guys doing? Is she all right? And one of the girls said, you know what? She's slanged in the Holy Spirit. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry to disturb you guys' prayer. I just seen her laying down. Just want to make sure you guys are all right. She's like, we're all right. And there was a girl on the phone, on the speakerphone, you know, from another state. And So I was like, "How you guys doing? You know, we're good." And then I said, "Hey, I need some prayer. Could you guys pray for me since you guys are praying?" I said, "I'm kind of lost right now." You know, I said I kind of ran it down to them a little bit what's going on, you know, what was going on in my life at that time. So they were like, "Yeah, we'll pray for you." Even the lady on the phone was like, "We'll pray for you." And I they surrounded me. Even the girl that was laying on the ground got up and surrounded me, started praying for me, prayed for me for a good few minutes. You know, I was just taking it in. You know what I mean? Probably like around midnight. You know what I mean?
Uh,
At night, taking it in. And I was like, "Hey, thank you. I really needed that." Listen to this, bro. Check this out. So I was about to leave. You know, I just gave him a hug. You know, whatever. Thank you. And the girl, the main girl that was talking to me, she goes, hold on, Derek." She said, "God told me to give you this message." And I was like, "What?" "God told me to tell you this." So I'm like, "All right, you know." She goes, "God told me to tell you for you to hang on. You know, everything's gonna work out. But you need to stay strong. You don't give up. You need to hang on. You know, things are gonna get a little rocky, but you gotta hang in there." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, and another thing God told me to tell you is you're gonna be promoted." And I'm like, "Promoted?" She goes, "Yeah, God told me to tell you you're gonna be promoted." And I'm like, "What do you mean promoted?" She goes, "Well, God told me is that you're gonna be around some new people. You're gonna be around some good people, you know, like godly people. But whatever you're going through right now, you need to hang on, no matter what. Because if you don't hang on, you're not gonna get to where God's gonna send you." I'm like, "Okay." And then she said, "You need to hang in there because when you get promoted, there's gonna be an office. There's an office, some kind of office." She goes, "And God told me to tell you there's some kind of office." So I said, "All right." So let's 2 3 months down the road, we moved out where we lived at because things didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? It didn't work out, so we had to leave. We moved. I ended up going to help Pastor Raul from Revolution Ministries, and Pastor Ramon was helping Pastor Raul get his ministry started down there at the Harvest House. And they had like at the time they had 19 men there and one guy that was running everything. So Pastor Ramon was like, "Hey, we need, you know, I know you work 3 days out of the week, 4 days graveyard, but I told him I need a place to stay for like maybe a month. You know what I mean? Until we work things out." And he goes, "All right, well, you can come here." That's when they were in Phoenix because they were gonna go to Tolleson. So he's all, "If you can help us, man." So you know, when your day's off, and I said, "You can drive, pick up food, whatever, whatever." So I said, "Yeah, I'll help you." So let's fast forward to the end of the month. Um, the end of the month came, and they're like, "We're going to be going to Tolleson. We have a bigger building, a bigger facility. So, you know, we want to talk to you." Pastor Raul, wants to talk to you. Pastor Ramon was all, "Yeah, I'm still going to help Pastor Raul." We get to Tolleson, and that second day, Pastor Raul was like, "Hey, Derek, um, Pastor Ramon said you were his leader when at the Dream Center when you were there running the ministry, Spanish ministry." And I said, "Yeah." So you know about leadership? And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, check this out, man. I need somebody like you here. I need somebody to do the UAs, do the breathalyzers. I need you to take the guys to work, pick them up. I need help. You know what I mean?" And the other guy that's here, he can't do it all by himself. So I was like, he goes, "But I can't pay you. But what I can do is I can get you side jobs." He goes, what's your bills?" I said, "I have a car. I got to pay the insurance, and I have cell phones." You know, he goes, "We can work it out, Derek. He goes, if I have to pay your cell phone bills, you know, it's all good." And he goes, "We have a lot of people here that in the Spanish church that have their own businesses, so I can get you, you know, a weekend job or whatever, you know, something that you know you can make you a little bit of money." So I said, "All right." So,
mm,
anyways, I went back to my job and I told my boss, I said, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks because I'm going to help men at the Harvest House." And he goes, and the guy, I know him to this day. He's a man of God, and he's like, "You're gonna leave a paying job to go help
Mm-hmm.
men and not get paid?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So he goes, "All right, Derek, cool." I get over there, start helping Pastor Raul with the guys. I was there for like maybe 3.5 months, 4 months, no longer than 4 months. Pastor Raul said, "Hey, the Harvest Church, the guy that's the facility maintenance guy, he got colon cancer, so he can't work. I'm gonna take you over there to introduce you to Pastor Ron Rockwell and Tim Tim Glass. Pastor Ron's the main guy. Pastor Tim's the number two guy. Took me over there. I met with them. All of us. We had a talk. Pastor Ron said, come back next week. We're gonna do another interview, just us three." I come back and I ran it down to him. What I and he goes, "You know what? We need a guy like you here. We need somebody on campus 24 hours a day. We need somebody to stay here. You have some living quarters. You have a wife and a son. They can come, but we need somebody here because we having a lot of break-ins and people, homeless people coming at night. Because where the Harvest Church is at, I don't know if you know Glendale. Like, you know where the Cardinal Stadium's at? The Cardinal Stadium. They have the Cardinal Stadium. Yeah, in Glendale, the Cardinal
No, I
Stadium.
don't.
Okay, so check it out. So you have the Cardinal Stadium right here, and then you have the arena where they do the concerts. Then across the field, you have the casino. The casino, which is my tribe. My tribe. Casino's right there. So the Harvest Church is down the road from the casino. So you got people always coming through there. But anyways, long story short, again, so check this out. This is where I knew God was real. So we went over there. I signed the contract, the papers, and they said, "This is what we're gonna pay you. This is what your duties are." And I was walking out the door. Okay, I was walking out the door, and Pastor Tim comes. He goes, "Derek, hey, hold on, Derek, hold on. I got something else to show you." And I'm like, "All right." So he goes. So we walked across, and he takes out these keys, and he unlocks this room. He says, "Hey, Derek, I forgot to tell you, this is your office." When he said office,
Wow.
I went back to that night what that girl had told me. You see what I'm saying? I was like,
Uh,
man, I knew God was real, but when he opened up that door and said, "This is your office right here," I just remember that girl's voice when she told me. So that test, you know what I mean? Um, and
mm,
like I said, I know God is real, but I think back to that time, but that was the main testimony right there, and when something like that happens, it's just like, God, when are you going to do that again? At the time, it was just really going through a lot of things, man, and I was just kind of stressing out. But then it took a while, but then it happened. You see what I'm saying? It happened, and I stayed at the Harvest Church for 6 years, and I'm still connected with them. I still talk to Pastor Tim and Pastor Ron, and when I go back to Phoenix, I always go down there. They look out for me still to this day.
mm.
But that's just my testimony right there. That's just one, but I'm just saying, like, man, God, sometimes I'm just like, God, I need to hear you again. He's always around me, but something like that really, really, it did something to me. It kicked me up some notches, in my faith. But that was my testimony right
Mm.
there. You know what I mean? But what do you think about that, bro? Like, what do you think?
I think it's really cool how God moves and how He like uses other people to talk through to tell you something. You know what I mean? Like God is mysterious that way. Like how He used those girls to tell you a message like want you to hang in there. You know what I mean? And like God's gonna promote you and gonna have an office and stuff like that. You know, He's mysterious like that. And he also mysterious when he like uses like other things like Christian radio or he he's a mysterious guy. He will get his message across. I don't know if some people seen the movie Transformers. I know you might have seen it. I don't know.
I've seen it before. I've
Remember
seen it.
that that Autobot named Bumblebee?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
remember how he talks? He uses the radio, and like in order to express himself, he uses that.
Mm-hmm.
That guy can he any way how he wants. He can talk to people through the radio. He can talk like even like a still small voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can talk to you that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I think about that is just like it's cool. That's for words for me to say is that's really cool. It's cool hearing that testimony.
Yeah. You know, because that was that being there, living there, and being on staff, and that was a big part of my my walk. That place, the Harvest Church, I was there for 6 years, plays a big role in my walk. You know what I mean? And just like church on the street, you know what I'm saying? Like they play a big part. Pastor Walt, Nana Ministry or Blessing Gaia, Pastor Ramon plays a big part in my walk. You know what I mean? Big. I'm still connected to Pastor Ramon to this day. I still go down to Mexico, and but the thing about it is like we never know, because when we think that things are not going to work out, we feel we're at a dead end, God makes a way. He makes a way. And that's just living a testimony right there. But I wanted to ask you, a
Yeah, God.
testimony. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a testimony about something that how God really came into your life. You know what I mean? Like he's been in your life, but I'm just saying like a moment like I had like that. I want to hear a testimony about, one of your testimonies, brother. And I'm gonna ask you some questions in between that.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, so my testimony is this: like, I grew up like some partially in Chicago,
Mhm.
and like I listened to like when I was like a little kid, like some worldly music, but from that, like I started to get encouraged how to do like rap
Yeah.
and so was beatboxing, from like groups named like Run DMC, the Fat
Yeah.
Boys. Run DMC was a impact in my life because I liked their skill and how they like come with their rhymes and stuff like that, and how they paint a picture and stuff. So I wanted to do that, and I started like scratching on my dad's records on my little kid Fisher Price record player. Well, I don't know if it was made from Fisher. No, it was a toy.
Okay.
But later on, like in life and everything, we moved to like south part of Chicago, where like things like it wasn't like what you say, it wasn't pretty. I didn't. So when I was living in the south side of Chicago, growing up at a young age, like in grammar school or grade school, however you want to call it, I got introduced to cigarettes,
Okay.
and like there was people that was around that actually like showed me like weed and stuff. And my dad, he was trying to teach me a lesson, trying to say like, here, drink this. You know, they're like, I don't want to drink that. And he's like, drink it anyway. And I took a sip of his beer. And I'm like, that tastes disgusting. And he was like, this is the reason why you don't do it.
Yeah.
So, God, I'm pretty sure he's trying to teach me a lesson. But, I, and so anyway, I got like drawn into stuff like that, and it became a part of my life, and also like female chasing.
Right.
So also rapping, like rap battles and stuff like that, breakdancing, graffiti, all that stuff. It became like my life
Yeah.
until like I moved back when my mom had to reprogram me. So she was telling me the stuff that I was doing was worldly. and I didn't know what worldly meant.
Okay.
I was like, worldly? What do you mean? We are living in the world. So I said something, and she was like, your rhymes is worldly. I don't want you doing this in the church.
Okay.
Like, but the church like it. Like, yeah, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
This is not how you like glorify God. The church can say anything they want, but I don't want you to do that. So I'm thinking like it's just rhymes, you know what I mean? Because when I was in the world, I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I just thought like I I could put this in the church. They understand me. They get me. But really, it was I understand where she came from when she said it's disrespecting God.
Okay.
I didn't understand at that time though, but right now I do. So she would like get us involved with church activities, like
Okay.
cleaning up the church, listening to like the pastor on Sunday, see what I think about the message. And I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't listening that well to the
Yeah.
pastor. There was always distractions in my head,
Yeah.
double anything, just to not let you hear the message.
Okay.
But I just knew that church, like the pastor would keep making these altar calls, like every Sunday he makes altar calls. And I'm thinking in my head, like one of these days I should go up there. And then like the devil would tell me, what for? People gonna look at you. You're gonna be embarrassed. You don't need to go up there. And I'm thinking like, yeah, that might be true. Then like I gotta go up there sometime. I was thinking that. Well, and I ain't saying that I knew the devil like that, but what I was doing was worldly. But I'm just saying that the devil would say stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't even know that it is the devil speaking to
Yeah.
you that way. But I was listening to that voice saying like, "Nah, man, don't go up there." And then one time I just had to fight it
Mhm.
because it keep saying like, "Nah, don't go up there." I
Mhm.
just fight it, and I went up there. We did the altar call, and I wanted to accept Jesus in my life.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever it meant. But I know it meant something real good.
Uh-huh.
Comparing to like the world stuff. So I'm like, I don't want that world. I just want Jesus.
Mhm.
Jesus seems to be pretty cool right now. So I did that, and I got baptized,
Okay.
and I got involved with more like Christian activities, like Rockford Christian Camp. What's up, people? I don't know if you know who I am, but y'all might have new staffs there. But what's up? Anyways, um, I was at Rockford Christian Camp, and I did like a rap called Friday Night. I don't even remember it, like how it goes and everything, but I did
Yeah.
a rap called Friday Night because that talent show was at on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And like the thing about it, I written this rap
Okay.
before Friday night.
Okay.
And when I performed the rap, people thought I was freestyling because everything happened the way how I written it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that it was gonna happen like that. And then they're like, did you freestyle that? I'm like, mm, I wrote that. But the thing about that, even a rap that I made Friday night, I believe that was to be worldly because like it was more like what God wants.
Yeah.
What God wants us to do is save souls and everything.
Yeah.
But like when I was at a around a campfire, other like people that have like oh shout outs to like my home girls, they twins, Tina and Tammy. How you guys doing? Anyways, we was like singing and all the rest of you guys, y'all know who y'all are, man. Anyways, we was singing around the campfire, and it was just beautiful melody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was looking up in the sky, like to the stars and everything. And this is what came to mind when I was looking up in the sky to the stars. I'm like, this must be some big God that we serve, because like I feel right now like I'm small compared to this guy. The guy that I was thinking about is like he's looking right up there. He's looking right down at us and stuff like that. But he's way more big than what I thought.
Mhm.
And so I was thinking that, and that's when I got more encouraged because of that sense, you know. And I believe that's just like how God would talk to you, but in a spiritual way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and later on, I messed up a little bit, like afterwards, like still like drinking and partying and like smoking and stuff like that, and going to parties and stuff. So my mom didn't like it, and she kicked me out. You know, my mom didn't want to do it, but she has to show me some discipline. I have to be disciplined because I was a knucklehead. You know what I mean? I was getting caught doing graffiti. You know, I was late for school. You know, I was just no good. You know,
Yeah.
and the time when the times like when I was going out like at nighttime, there was this place called the Equator Club. Hey guys, you know, I'm saying I'm not I'm not the same person.
Yeah.
So the Equator Club, there was this one bouncer guy. He would not let me in the club,
Yeah.
and it made me frustrated. That I'm like, dude, my DJ is in there. Let me in.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you two go home. I'm like, go home. Do I look like I'm home right now, man? I'm trying to get in here. Like, why don't you just back up off me and just let me go in here?
Yeah.
He was like, no. I'm like, are you serious, man? And then I was about to go in there. He grabs me and just took me out and
Ah.
stuff. And one time, like when the my DJ came up and talked to me, you know,
Yeah.
it was like a downstairs thing that he came up and he talked to me. He's like, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I'm trying to get in this club, man, so I can bust some rhymes and everything.
Yeah.
He was like, right now you can't do that. What are you trying to do? Get me fired? I'm like, nah, man, I ain't trying to do that. It's like, well, the way you're doing things, it seems that way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, man, I didn't do that. It's just the bouncer's acting all messed up right now. It's like that bouncer is doing his job.
Hmm.
And I was like, whoa, man, I have to hear this from my own DJ. But you know, I was dead. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I didn't know better. And then like later on, this guy he came, the bouncer came out the Crater Club. I was kicking it with my homegirl Gina. You know, she's cool, but you know, we was just hanging out like outside the Crater Club. And once he came out, like the bouncer and everything, I threw that 40-ounce bottle towards that bouncer.
Man.
You know, I don't know if it had, but you know, I was very upset.
Yeah.
And Gina was trying to tell me down, like, won't you calm down, man? And then like my DJ even had to calm me down. They're like, man, what the heck you trying to do, man? So that was one part of my life. And dude, if you hear me right now, the one that threw the bottle at you, I'm sorry, man. I don't mean that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the time, I just didn't know. You know, and when the time you told me to go home, I just should have went home.
Yeah.
So my bad, okay? And like some other part of my life is like when I was this I was like in a school
Yeah.
and I would play hooky, how they call that, hooky or ditch school or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would go to I would break dance over there
You,
with my friends, you
you know,
know.
I was gonna ask you that same thing too about before you go on was because I heard you mention graffiti. You know, that does that have anything to do with, you know what I mean? But you don't, I mean, you don't have to answer now, but you know what I mean? But I was gonna ask you about that, but you said it, you know what I mean? The graffiti part. But go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was breakdancing at the restaurant. I was playing video games and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know just hanging out. And my thinking back in the day, having a good time. But later on, like sometimes like let's get back to the graffiti. I got caught at my school with like some spray paint,
Okay. Okay.
and the officer like took me to the office. They was like, I don't know what we're gonna do with you. That's what they said. I don't know whether to call your mom or to take you in. I said, man, just take me in, man. I don't call my mom. Just take me in. It's like, so we know what we gonna do now. We gonna call your mom. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be in trouble
Yeah.
because my mom don't play
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So.
so they called my mom later. My mom like got at me and everything and told me everything you tagged right now. And I saw it. I gave her my shoe polish. I think it was Main Streaks, my spray paint and
That,
everything,
you know what?
my markers and all this stuff.
That's what I was exactly what I was
Um,
gonna ask you was I know I was gonna ask you that same question, but you answered it. Like I know you carried markers, I think scratchers. You know what I mean? Um, like all
yeah,
those, because you know what?
sandpaper and
Yeah, because I was the same way because I was a tagger too, but I was in the gang, so I was tagging up my neighborhood everywhere. I rode in tagger style. I rode in like old school, like the gangster style they call it, the black. Like I still know how to write like that, but I can relate to that because
stuff.
I done carried all that stuff on my. The only thing I didn't really carry was what you said is the shoe polish. You know what I mean, like the white one. You know what I mean, especially the white one. But I carried markers. I had markers, black and red, and I had a scratcher for the mirrors. Even every now and then, I would
Mhm.
carry some sandpaper too, though. You know what I'm saying? Just it all depended. But yeah, go back to the story. But I just wanted to let you know I was same thing with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. But I had to give all my stuff to my mom, and then my little brother. He, I'm sorry for calling you little brother. My brother. He don't like me calling him little brother. He's not little. He looks older than me.
Yeah,
But he told me like, "What are you doing, man? You gave her all the stuff."
yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, man. Mom don't play. Like I gave her everything. You know what I mean? Forget it. We get some more. Like this stuff costs money." I'm like, "There's a Sherwin Williams down there. Forget about it, man."
yeah,
But I didn't want to get in trouble.
yeah.
And like when I was like getting throughout that phase, I was like still like terrible. I had a job like filling up candy machines. You fill in donuts, you fill in Skittles, Snicker candy bars, and coffees, and you name it. It was all over the place in Chicago,
Hmm.
and we would start like 8 o'clock at night and won't like end until like in the morning
Yeah,
because there's like candy all over the place.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I have to go downtown. I have to go like around the north side and all the other places. There's some places that where they filmed that I have to go at. I forget which movie it was. I think it might have been The Fugitive or something.
mm,
But there was a hotel that we had a camping in, and like so I would do that and I would get paid and everything. And like when I get paid and stuff, it was, I would like go and find like weed
yeah,
and smoke. And ever since like I've been doing that, and then like I've been like doing that ever since when I came home, like because I go home on a Saturday. I would start work like the Monday, go home on a Saturday and Sunday. Those are my 2 days off, so I would get that for my family. But all Monday through Friday, I have to work.
yeah,
I can't even like leave the office. I sleep at the office. So when I went home on a Saturday and everything, I would smoke weed with my cousin and my brother, the oldest one.
yeah,
And like so I was remembering that lifestyle. And like later on, like when I can tell you one part of my lifestyle. I don't know whether I was a teenager or not, but you know, like the 4 tracks, right? I didn't have that. All I had was a karaoke machine and a keyboard and like a microphone. Now we use the microphone on the keyboard making beats on this karaoke machine. And I thought I was doing something,
Yeah.
but I was I really wasn't doing much. But when I was smoking weed with my cousin and my brother and everything, I would make beats like that and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would just lift weights and like I thought that was a good lifestyle. But until one day my mom, when she moved to Arizona, she sent me a ticket
Okay.
saying like, hey, I would like for you to like Arizona here. And I was thinking like, I have a good life. I don't want to go down here. I don't want to go down there. But I didn't want to waste her ticket, her money. You know what I mean? So I went.
Mhm.
Although like everything was looking up for me, there was like a producer I was working with. We was performing at shows and stuff like that, and
Okay.
drew a lot of, but it was worldly stuff. And I'm glad that my mom sent me that ticket,
Yeah.
and I went down here in Arizona. When I got off that plane, it was hot. This is not this Arizona did this to me. I'm just playing, but
That's funny.
yeah, I know. But anyway, got off the plane. They we got something to eat. My mom like said to put out my stuff like at the apartment where we were staying at,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was in Chandler.
Okay. Okay.
The part called like River Ranch. I
Okay.
don't know if you guys know about that, but it was that one. So it was like in Chandler, and then like got settled in and stuff, and my equipment became way better than what it was. I had like one of those rolling TR-5,
Okay. Okay.
and I had a 4 track and everything. And I was making beats with those. So like I was still like smoking at the time, but at this time I was working at Walmart.
Yeah.
That one job. I mean, Walmart was really good. It was a blessing to work there.
Yeah.
Like working at shipping and receiving,
Okay.
it
Okay.
pays good. Just it pays good to have fun. Shipping and receiving, that's a fun job.
Mhm.
I don't know about anybody else, but to me, pushing pallets, getting stuff off the assembly belt, and all this other stuff, wrapping it up with shrink wrap. If no one don't think that's fun, I don't know. I have no clue. You're just different from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to and like I messed it up when I was like when I was high on the job.
Mhm.
I smoked weed and then came
Oh
to the
man.
job, and I, I thought that I could do my work a little bit more faster if I did that. But I wind up messing everything up. Like I was pushing pallets real fast instead of taking my time. So the thing just fell down like goosh. I was like, oh, I know, man. And I got called in the office and everything, and like they was telling me like, so man, are you on anything? And I'm like, no. I'm like, are you serious? Because if we go to the hospital that you have like drugs in your system, me and Scott here would have to do all that paperwork for nothing. And I was looking at Scott because Scott always gave me cigarettes, you know. And I didn't like, no, I don't want to go through all that paperwork. Forget it. Yeah, okay, I'm high. I'm on weed. So what? And then he was like, well, why do you do it? I'm like, God, wait, is this enough? But he had a good question. Why did I do it? You know, I I don't have an answer for that. It's just like what's what I was brought up in. You know what I mean? Like later on, I got fired. My mom saying like, "Why did you get fired?" I was scared of my mom, so I didn't. I like, I don't know. Me, mom. They said you were smoking weed. I'm like, that's not true, mom. It was true. and but I just didn't tell because I'm scared of my mom. My mom, she don't play. You know what I mean? If anyone had a mom, they know that your mom don't play. So you just better come with it.
Yeah.
So I just said I didn't do that. And then she was like, well, anyways, we'll have to find another job.
Yeah.
So I was looking at like dinner. I was looking at like other places, and my sister-in-law, when she was my sister-in-law at the time,
Yeah.
she told me like they before that time I got a job at like Subway.
Yeah.
And at Subway I was like this sandwich artist and everything. I thought, yeah, I'm doing real good. And I didn't need a diploma for this. But like I was making just and like afterwards I met some friends and stuff like Jerry and those guys. They was pretty cool. They took me like out to go visit their family and stuff like
That's
at
cool.
Casa Grande.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, I had a with those guys. One time, like when I got off, like when I woke up the next morning, when I got out of the trailer,
Yeah.
the act of God do this. I was about to get out the trailer, but something told me to go back in, and I didn't know what it was. And I fell asleep. And then his crazy uncle, like, woke me up, or somebody woke me up. And then I went out there. There was this rattlesnake, like, on a pole. I'm like, what the heck is this going on
Rattlesnake.
here? What are y'all doing around here? And yeah, it was a rattlesnake.
Man.
And like, what is it? I'm like, we ain't gonna eat that, are we? It's like, nah. And Jerry was telling me, this thing almost bit you when you was about to step out. Like, huh? Like, my uncle took care of that for you. I was like, thanks, man. Because I would have gotten bitten, but God told me to go back in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I
Yeah.
believe that he did that because some
Yeah.
he didn't want that snake to bite.
Yeah.
And so, like, afterwards, like, I went back home to my mom and everything. And,
Hmm.
I gained some friends and stuff. And friends always come over to my mom's house. I ain't gonna say it was my house. I just stayed there. You know what I mean? My mom just allowed me to stay there.
Yeah.
It was my mom's. So like my friends would come over like, hey, you got any buds? And I'm like, yeah, I got some. Hold on. Because I always carried buds with me at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I would give them that. So if you guys listening right now, just give up the buds. The buds ain't gonna do nothing for you guys, but eat up the whole entire refrigerator. But anyway, like I would do that for them, and then like afterwards, like my stepsister came into play where she like introduced me to the McDonald's job and saying like they hiring, you should go and get a job over there. It pays way more. And I was like, all right. So I got the interview and everything, and then came back to Subway when they was about to close. And hey, I'm Shannon. Sorry, Shannon fired me at the time when I came there. She's like, you might as well not work. So I'm sorry, Shannon. I was a knucklehead. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Hope we're cool. Then so I got fired, and I didn't quit. I just got fired. I didn't know about the quitting and the firing thing at the time. So I went to McDonald's the next day and got a job there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've been working from there. And the manager, I have to apologize to too. I'm sorry for being how I am. And anyone that I offended, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, like I got a job for McDonald's, and then afterwards, like I had to move because like I was throwing too much parties at my mom's house,
Okay.
and so I had to move to Tempe. And like afterwards, like things happened where I got into an accident, and have to pay that back off because I didn't mean that. I was just trying to get another drum machine,
Hmm.
and I got got put in jail, and afterwards I got out and everything, and I was just a messed up person. Like, to fast forward, I met a bus driver. She was a native, and she took me to Cibiq like afterwards. First, like, she was working her bus like thing for a while, and like my mom, she stayed in Altuve at the time, and I would visit my mom at the time, and so I would go back and forth from Altuve, always to Scottsdale and everything. So it's just like a back and forth thing that I did. And she said one day, like, "Hey, you want to come to Civic with me?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know if I want to go there.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Civic is, and where is it? I never heard of Civic. You trying to take me away from my family or something? What's that?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, no, don't like it. You can come back to your family." I'm like, "Okay, why not? I'll check it out." And then I went to Civic. I'm starting to like the place. I'm like, wow, this is cool. It's not so bad. It's like kick back a little,
Yeah.
And so I gave it a shot. And then like the next day in Civic Q, they put me to work.
Yeah.
But I didn't think of it as I didn't think of it as work. This dude was saying like, look, I know that you from different place and stuff like that, but around here we chop woods. I'm like, okay, how you do this then? And they're like, okay, watch me.
Yeah.
And then he chopped some woods and everything. Let me try some. It's like, wait, 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 hold on now, let me do some more. Because you don't want to chop your foot off. So I let him do some more and I chopped a pile of woods and everything. So I started to live a Apache life. But I'm not Apache. It's just I started to live that life. And they corn and everything. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, I was still early. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
Uh-huh.
So later on in life, like I got tired of the world. I got
Yeah.
tired of smoking. I got tired of. I just got tired of it. I told God, like, hey man, I can't stop this. It's very addictive habit that I have, and I really need to let go of it.
Yeah.
So God said, like, okay, I can like do this for you, and I will clean up your health too. But
Okay.
this is what I want you to do for me. I want you to like when the person knocks the next day, I want you to tell them, no, you belong to me. And
Yeah.
I didn't understand what that meant until
Uh-huh.
afterwards when the person knocked on the door. He knocked on my door, and then like it's like, hey Isaac, let's go drink. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm like, no, I can't do that, man. It's like, why not? Because I belong to God now. And he's like, BS. I'm like, I'm telling you the truth. I belong to God. Like I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
And he keeps saying, but walking away saying BS.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So so from that point right there, it's just like I got more serious,
Yeah.
of like serving God. Although I was saved a long time ago when I was scared to go to the altar call, I got more serious when I seen God move,
Mm-hmm.
like splitting this guy apart, saying, and then so afterwards, like I just when I taking God serious, there was this one cat like that was drunk, but like God told this, I wanted to go to like get something from my grandma's house, my Apache grandma. I wasn't married or nothing, but I still call her my grandma. But I wanted to get something. It was late and everything, and like when I went out there and everything, there was this one drunk guy, and I was witnessing to him all the way up to the morning, and I, he was drunk, but he told me, dude, I know I was drunk, but I'm sober now, man. I appreciate what you done. I'm like, nah, that's not me, man. That's God, And the thing that I get from my grandma's house, I said, forget it. It wasn't even all that important. I just walked right back in. But God been using me ever since then. It was an up and down roller coaster at the
Right.
time. You know, at times I did, at time I did backslide. You know,
Yeah.
but when I was backsliding, you know, I was at least some people would say that's wrong to do. They're like, hey man, you don't smoke weed, don't smoke around the church, man. But when I was backsliding, I thought the safest place that I would do that is around the church
Yeah. You know
because
what?
God see you know
That is
the,
that's it's kind of crazy that you say that because like that's the same thing we used to do when we were younger. You know what I mean? Back in my neighborhood, because like we used to
yeah
go like smoke weed and drink 40s, and sometimes we used to huff paint. Because like I used to huff paint back, gold paint back in the day. But that's a whole nother testimony for later. But I'm just saying we'd always end up at the church. You know what I mean? Like, let's go to the church. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? And that was one of our
to me
yeah, it's one of our spots. It's kind of crazy.
to me I felt safer that way. You know, although I was wrong, like
Yeah,
smoking weed and stuff like that,
yeah,
I felt safer doing it there because I knew God was knowing that I was doing what I was doing.
mm-hmm,
But the thing is, like, God fixed me. He was molding me at the same time where I don't even have these cravings no more. I can guarantee you that I don't even want to smoke weed, drink, or anything like that. All I want to do is be sober and like share my testimonies and tell people about Jesus. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like God, He changed and like me. And if you heard everything I just told you, you know that I was pretty messed up and then some.
yeah,
But God, if He can change a person like me, He can change anyone. You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
had a lot of problems,
Oh
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
now I just like, you know, I'm living for Him now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So as
Yeah,
far as the testimony, that's the best way to describe that.
yeah. Nah,
You know,
you know,
from then.
to now. No, I hear you. You know what, too, brother Isaac? My screen my screen went a little dark. That means that my battery's going a little bit it's a little low now. Remember I told you about that earlier? Because it went from
Oh yeah,
so what I want to do is what we can do is we can I have some more questions for you, but I don't want it to cut off on you. So what I wanted to do is we could stop right here and then we could finish again. Um we could finish we can come back like we can come back like probably like probably Thursday if that works for you.
okay,
Yeah.
that works.
So we can do that because like I said, I remember I told you I was at with the plug thing. So I'm gonna get
Yeah,
I'm gonna get everything new tomorrow. I'm gonna get a whole another plug and everything. So it's good. Like I said, it just it I
it's
seen it
cool.
right now, so it's a little shadier. So that's what that means. But like I said, like just to wrap it up, but you know, it's kind of I'm thinking back to what you said about the church thing. That really like blows my mind because I mean, that's the same thing we used to do, you know. And I would, and I want to say, I'm gonna tell you something, man. This trips me out right here because remember how you said you were over at the church doing your thing over there. You felt safe. Same thing with us.
Yeah,
And at the time, we didn't know that God was. He was already setting. He was already setting up the plays. He was setting up the plays. He was setting up the road for us. You see what I'm saying? And like I
uh,
had homies there with me, but you know they're not where I'm at that we're doing this stuff. You know, they went different roads. But there's one thing I want to say, man, that always trips me out to this day because we're talking about churches and all that, you know, safe place. Listen to this, man. I'm gonna tell you something real quick. Back then, um, we used to joke around. I had a dude that I was in a gang with. You know what I mean? Like I didn't grow up with him, but like I'm one of the ones that jumped him in the neighborhood, and so after he got jumped, I mean, I knew of him, but I didn't know him, if that makes sense. Um, I knew his cousin though, because I went to school with his cousin from kindergarten. But I knew his cousin. His cousin jumped in the gang too. But anyways, we always used to say this, man. This is crazy because we used to say this like his mom or whoever. They'd be like, Saturday night, we're going out partying, whatever, and his mom or whoever would say, you guys need to be careful, man. You need to chill out. I know you guys are carrying guns. I know you guys are selling dope. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna be out all night. You're gonna stay out all night. And me and him used to say this, and we used to laugh about it, but I'd be like, nah, you know what? We're gonna be back. It's Sunday. It's Sunday morning. We'll be back in the morning because we gotta go to church. And we start laughing. You know what I mean? We start laughing, and they'd be like, "You need to go to church. You need church." But I didn't know that saying that all those years ago. Now look what I do. I'm in church Sunday morning, playing the drums, worshiping God. But God has a mysterious, like, I don't want to. Would you say sense of humor? Where he'd be like, "Oh, you're speaking it into. You think it's a joke, but you're speaking this into existence." Because I used to tell him like, "Nah, I got."
uh,
You know
like
what I mean?
like on that rap that I did Friday, the camp meeting, not the
Yeah,
camp meeting, but the Rock for Christian camp.
yeah,
Yeah, I wrote it, but I didn't know everything was going to come to play like that.
yeah,
I understand what you mean.
yeah. That's. I mean, I tell that. I still trip on them because I could hear them like you need to go to church. You need to do that. And I used to just laugh, man. We laugh and like, yeah, I gotta go to church tomorrow, so I'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow in time for church. And we'd be laughing, but now I guess you can say that God was like, all right, you want to speak it into existence. Be careful what you speak about, because I'll make it happen. And look at these years later. But anyways, brother, is there anything you would like to
God
say?
for
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to say before we sign off, bro?
that. Keep Jesus in you guys' life. You know what I mean? The devil is not worth anything. Forget the world. You know what I mean? Christ 100%.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so we left off at the chop. We'll say it like this. We left off at the chopping wood part. All right. Well, that's where we'll start from again, at the chopping wood.
Okay.
Because another thing, here's another thing
Okay.
I was gonna tell you is I've had my share of chopping wood on the res too, man. Believe that. Um, I'm still good with an axe. I know how to chop wood because one thing, check this out. My grandmother on my mom's side, and even my aunt, you know, back in the 90s, the early 80s, the late 80s and the 90s, all through the 90s and stuff, before the casino started giving out money for at the houses and stuff, my aunt and grandma used to say, if you want to eat breakfast, you better go chop wood. You want to eat dinner, you better go chop
Uh,
wood. Okay? So we'll be out there chopping wood for dinner, and then my aunt or my grandma would
uh,
say, "Hey, you might as well chop some wood for the morning because you want to eat breakfast, right?" So I'd be out there. And one thing that I've learned is you always want to sharpen your blade. You always want to keep it sharp.
yeah.
You want to keep, because a dull blade is not. It's gonna give you trouble. But I've had my share of chopping wood too, brother. So I know what's up. But anyways, guys, this was
That, that's,
yeah.
that's the sharp blade you're talking about. That's like reading your word every day.
Oh yeah. Yep. We got to sharpen. We sharpen each other. That's what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? We're talking about the Lord. We're sharing our experiences. And when we do this right here, it's like we're sharpening each other. We're keeping us sharp. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. But
Yeah.
like I said, I just like to thank you for another night. You know what I mean? Like I said, me is, that's what we're all about. Hope after dark. and I say this all the time is I'm not doing this to get famous. I'm not doing this for money. I'm just being obedient of what God told me to do, and that's this right here.
Yeah,
And thank you again, Isaac. Man, I really appreciate you. But well, I got more questions for you. But like I said, when we get back on Thursday, like I said, we'll get back. We'll jump right back into it, and we'll leave off at the chopping wood part. But other than that, man, I thank you, bro. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for staying up. I really appreciate it. Um, I really appreciate that. Um, and another thing too is, like
thank
I
you.
said, is we're gonna be having more people coming on Hope After Dark. I got people from Phoenix, the Spanish Church. What we talked about, I told you, even my friend Amy, like I said, she's gonna be coming on here. Hopefully we can do like a three, like we were talking about with all of us. Even your but oh yeah, announce that
Yeah,
before we sign off about your buddy. Remember we were talking about?
John Shago.
Yeah, he's gonna be coming on.
Yeah, yeah, I want him to be a part of it too.
Yeah.
This guy is amazing. His music, it is awesome. You guys will love this guy.
Okay. Yeah, we're
He
working on all that.
does the
Yeah. We're taking it one step at a time. We're working on getting things better. With the live streaming. We're working on things. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't happen at once. But like I said, it's all for the glory of God, not for me, not for you. It's for Him. We're just here to give hope,
Amen.
share our stories, testimonies, and just go from there. But other than that, brother Isaac, I'd like to thank you again. Man, you have a good night. Tell your wife I said hi. You know what I
Do
mean?
the same.
Yeah. And then we'll talk again soon. All right, guys. Peace out. Thank you, Lord, for sending your son to die on the cross. Love you guys. Amen. All right.
Amen.
Cool. Peace. Over there, Anthony, to the RV. But I need you to erase that video. I already shut the camera off on the YouTube. You got to show me how to.